Hello, my name's Mark. My son's been on to me for a while to make him a wooden paddle, and I've finally done it, and this is what I've come up with. So to make the blade of the paddle, I've cut up these strips of Cepelian beech. So we go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. So I'm going to glue those like that. Well, I'm not going to glue them at 45. I'm going to do, I don't know if you've seen that, is it Fab or something? He does like platinum on YouTube. He does like pattern plywood. So I'm going to go for that sort of effect. So you glue them at 45, stick them through your table saw, cut them again and glue them up again. You end up like a chevron type pattern. I'll just do it and you can see if you haven't seen these videos. So I'll glue this up now, show you what I mean, and we'll go from there. So you see now, I sort of glued them up, well, not perfectly at 45, but roughly. So I can stick them through the saw at 45 to make the chevron pattern, but it'll kind of make sense when I do it. I wasn't sure what glue to use really, but I was going to use Cascum wire originally, because that's sort of traditionally used for boats and stuff, so I thought, but I sort of googled it and people said it wasn't quite as good as it used to be, so I'll just use this PU adhesive. It's supposed to be completely waterproof and it shouldn't really be getting wet. I mean, it's all probably varnished up, otherwise, you know, I don't really want the wood to get wet because it'll all swell, won't it? So hopefully it'll be okay. So I've just run the belt stand over just to clean all the glue squeeze out off of them. So I now want to get a straight line down there, well, 45, or at least close to 45 at least. Then I can just feed them through the table saw then to cut them all up, to re-glue them back up. So I think I just use a track saw to cut that line on there, but it'd be easier than trying to feed that through the table saw. And then once I've got a square edge, I can just push it against the fence. So we've now got a straight edge on this, we say. So I can now feed that down the fence. So that distance is the same width as one of those strips. So I'll cut this into strips now, and glue it back up again. Okay, you can see the sort of chevron pattern I'm going for. So that goes in the middle, which when it all gets glued up, obviously that becomes sort of the handle of the paddle. Obviously it gets reduced and rounded off. But I didn't make enough of these. Because I was cutting them at an angle, I hadn't really allowed so much wastage. I thought I was going to get more than I have. So I haven't got any more beech, but I've got some. I have to just go for some contrasting colours just to make so it'll still look, you know, it might even look better. So what I'll do is I'll make some more. When I turn the camera back on, we'll have enough, and then we'll carry on from there. So I've made some more strips. I found some bits of ebony offcuts someone had given me. I know it's heavy and I know everyone's going to say it's not a good idea, but my boys like a bit of exercise, but it's not that. I mean, there's not going to be that much of it. By the time that's all shaped up and thinned down and stuff, I know it would be light if I use something else, but I think the black and the red look pretty good together. So that's going to go in the middle. It's sort of glued up. Obviously it's got quite a lot of shaping to do, but I think I'll reduce the width of that because I don't want that much red showing in the middle. I just want sort of the minimum I can get away with, really. So I'll glue all these together and then we'll go from there. Okay, so this is where we're at now. I've kind of done a bit, I haven't filmed it because I sort of got a bit carried away. So those things are at the clamps now, giving them a quick sand up. I glued this, just glued that up with those alternate pieces. Then I cut two strips of it, just like a bit of ebony in the middle. I've cut out the middle of the sort of, that's where the paddle's going. So that's going to slide in there like that, and then these are going to get glued on each side. So we're going to glue that up in there now. It just gives the centre of the paddle like a bit of decorative. Otherwise you'd have those two glued to each side and a sort of plain bit in the middle. So I'll get it all glued up and then you can have a look. So that's that bit I stuck in the middle, the like sort of inlay thing. Slightly off centre, isn't quite lined up, a bit of a pain. So to get these, so to join these two bits on like ready for shaping into the paddle, I've just put like a saw cut of the table saw in there and one in there. Just going to put like a tongue in there, just because otherwise there's quite a bit of end grain, just to make it a bit stronger. Probably been right without, but anyway, make it a bit stronger. So I'll get all this glued up. move on. So I've got that central part just sort of roughly flush. I've got a template, which I think I'm happy with roughly the shape. Draw around that, get a rough shape to it. Then go under like some giant sort of chopping board, so it'll look more like a paddle then. So it's a bit large as well. We're cutting half this away, so I'll get it cut to shape. Then I'm going to put like an oak edge banding around it, because obviously all these little bits they get knocked. So I'll get it cut to shape first on the bandsaw and go from there. Okay, I've got that into sort of a rough paddle shape now. I'm now going to glue this couple of oak strips just around the edge, just to give it a bit more protection with these little bits on the edge. I'm going to talk about 3, I think, 2 or 3, see how it goes. And then I can sort of give it a final shape, because obviously still needs to be, you know, quite a bit of work to get it, you know, to a final shape, but I'll get this glued up. I've got a round over bit in the router table now. I'm going to round over all 4 corners of this to try and make it almost round, hopefully. Otherwise, unless you've got hands like shovels, it's not really going to be very comfortable to grip. The router table hasn't made a bad job, actually. We've got it, I mean, pretty much round, really. Don't know if I might take a little bit more off just to make it more comfortable in the hand. This is going to have to come down a fair bit. Obviously, it's way too thick. It won't really fit in a bandsaw, and I'm not completely sure I trust myself to try and cut a bit off it, you know, thin it out with a bandsaw is too risky. It's taken quite a lot of work to get to that point. I don't want to risk messing it up. So what I think is I'm going to stick a really coarse belt on the belt sander, stick a mask on, connect it up to the hoover, and just attack it, and so I can get it, you know, the shape I want. So I'll do that, because I mean, there's not much point in filming that, because it'll just be noisy and dusty. Got it down sort of roughly to the sort of shape I want. Thinned it right down. Don't know whether you can see that on the camera. So obviously this end, it needs a handle. Yeah. Glued a couple of bits of wood on the end there. But I don't know, whatever you call that grippy bit that you hold in one of your hands. You're probably all wondering why I didn't glue it on when the thing was square, so I didn't have to cut it square and then glue them on. I'm wondering that myself. Bit of a stupid mistake there, but anyway, it's all on there now. So I'm going to shape that up into something you can grip with your hand. Got the handle done now. You probably notice it's different than how it was originally. I sanded it almost to this thing, and then this little tiny hole started appearing. So I sanded it a bit more, and the hole just got bigger. I did try and glue a bit of wood in, but it didn't really look right, so I just had to cut the whole thing off and start again. I think I'd used a bit of reclaimed wood, and it obviously had a screw or something had been put in it at some point, and I couldn't see the hole until I started sanding into it and shaping it. But oh well, I prefer the second one anyway, with the lines in it. I've just sort of sanded it so it fits sort of nicely in the hand. It feels right in the hand anyway. So now it's all sanded up. I was just going to varnish it, some yacht varnish or something, but I've decided, yeah, it may be better to just give it a coat of epoxy. I haven't really done much with epoxy, but I just think it might be stronger, more watertight. It's just got a vision to pad along, and all those hundreds of little bits of wood will all be floating in the water behind. So I'll give it a coat of epoxy now and see what it comes up like. Hopefully it'll turn out right when it's got a bit of finish on it. So this first coat of epoxy, not looking too bad. So I'll see what it dries like now. It's all finished now. I've had a couple of coats of epoxy. Quite pleased with how it's turned out. There's a couple of little bits, could be better, but generally I'm really pleased. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Any comments, usual place. Thanks a lot.